Alright guys, so to finish this part 2 here, I did at the end of my last video, I talked about that I'm going to read off this Christianity.com article, and this is on the Jezebel spirit. What is the Jezebel spirit? Now, as I said at the end of my last video, I'm not I'm sorry about that. The Jezebel spirit. Yeah, like I said, I'm not preaching Christianity. I'm not telling anybody that they need to get saved through Jesus or anything like that. This is just from my experience, and this is just something that I talk about, or that something that I want to talk about in the context of of my last video, which is the Jezebel spirit, which is sort of a response to the succubus, signs of a succubus, right? Now this is the Jezebel spirit is a sort of, what I take from it. And I'm gonna read this, but as a preface, what I take from it is it's a sort of attitude, it's a sort of way of behaving that these young women have adopted, and it has to do with, as I was saying in my last video, it has to do with worship. These young women, they want to be worshipped. They're not content, because female nature is solipsistic, it's selfish, it wants to uplift itself. It's not content with just being attractive to one man or whatever. They want to be worshipped. This is why so many young women are on Instagram. This is why so many young women go on Twitter and share their nude pics, and this is why so many young women are doing porn, because it makes them feel it's basically idolatry, right? You put a woman on a pedestal, and they had these things in the Old Testament. They were called Asherahs, and they were female deities. They were idols, literally idols made out of stone, of female figures. And so, which I would probably allude to being basic pornography, right? Pornography is really just idolatry. It's female worship. It worships the female body. And sex is something that should be intimate. It should be, sex is multi-tiered, right? There's tiers of sex. It's something that should be, at its purest form, at its most beautiful form, it's something that it's a coming together of one man and one woman in monogamy, okay, in a love bond that is not only physical, but it's emotional as well as spiritual. Okay, it's a soul bonding. This is why in the Bible, when God says, man and woman will come to, man will leave his parents and he will find a woman and he will be knitted with that woman and they will become one. That's what that means. When you're having sex with a woman, you become knitted in her soul. Your souls get knitted together. It's a bond. There's literally a sex bond. And this is why God doesn't like fornication. The term fornication means sex before marriage, basically having random sex with random people. So this is why fornication is such a bad thing, because you are bonding with somebody that you don't love. You are having a physical bond with somebody that is, probably not going to stick around for the rest of your life. But anyway, like I said, I'm not here preaching. I'm not here trying to tell people not to do things, but this is all related, right? So when we have something like pornography, it's idolatry, it's female worship, but there's no love involved, there's no connection, there's no bond, there's no intimacy experiences, there's none of that. And this is what we all kind of crave, even women, right? But yet we're not teaching our women this. We're not teaching our women that, hey, when you have random sex, you're not honoring your own self, you're not honoring your body. And this is why, in the Bible it says those who fornicate are sinning against their own body, because you are damaging your own body. And I've fornicated a lot in my life, and I've reaped what I've sowed. I've reaped negativity from it. I've had many years of depression, many years of pain, right? I've had physical illnesses and things like that. I'm not saying it doesn't feel good. I'm not saying it's not great. I'm not saying that it's not awesome and amazing, because it is, but there are consequences, in addition to the potential for STDs, the potential for unwanted pregnancies, broken hearts, etc. So this is all connected, right? So when we have things like, I talked about in my last video, like Britney Spears, Beyonce, Kesha, Taylor Swift, these females who are making themselves making themselves idols, and and the young people, men and women who are looking up to these women, are literally idol worship. It's idolatry, right? And they're putting themselves on a pedestal, and young women see that, and they're like, oh, I want that power. I want men to lust after me. I want men to, because it's a form of self-worship. It's a form of soul worship. You're worshiping your own self. You're putting yourself on a pedestal. And this is the same thing that Satan did in heaven before God kicked him out. Was he wanted to lift himself up above God. He didn't want to be in his own station. He didn't want order. He didn't want to be subservient to God. He didn't want to be under God, so he wanted to lift himself up above God. And this is the same thing that is happening with modern feminism. This is the same thing that is happening with young women today. They don't want to be subservient to men. They don't want to be under a man and be under his protection, which is part of their female nature. Their female nature does want that. And so this is why so many feminists are so unhappy and so angry and so mad, is because they're denying their own nature, and they're told a lie. They're told a lie that men are evil, yet their nature is saying, I want a man. I want a strong man. I want a man to protect me. I want a man who can provide for me and all these things. Of course, I have my qualms with that from a male perspective, but this is what female nature is, and I think that's to be determined whether or not that's the best way. I'm more for mutualism, where the female brings something to the table, the man brings something to the table. Neither is relying on one or the other, but they're helping each other. Maybe that's a little more what the Bible is talking about when God said, I'm going to bring Adam a helpmeet, right? A female will help him, but women don't want to help men, and women don't want to they want to deny their female nature. And there's a certain satanic aspect of looking for a man to provide for her as well, like gold digging and looking for a man with resources. I believe there's lust involved in that. I believe that there's something satanic involved in that to an extent, but it's also her female nature to want to be protected. And anyway, and so this is why when feminists are taught and told that men are so evil, right? This is why they're so unhappy, because their nature is like, I want a man. I want to be protected. I want that man to help me. I want that man to provide for me, right? But they're so angry because they're given this subversive, doctrine that kind of ruins them towards men. And it's the same thing with what Satan did in heaven before he got expelled, before God cast him out, was he tried to raise himself above God. And this is what women are doing today. They're trying to raise themselves above men. Don't get it twisted. Feminism is not about equality. Feminism is about female empowerment. Okay, but that's not just female empowerment in general. That's female empowerment above men. This is what the real truth of feminism is. The real truth of feminism is that feminism is, a philosophy, doctrine, if you will, that is against men.